going back to Dana, he has sent us a number of letters and requests over the years. It started May 12th. His first request was that the Board of Selectmen review the hours that the town office was closed, and it reads, "My request is that the town office be open at 9 a.m. And it was for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday.
I know that we try to make it for 8 to see work.
Right.
And we kept close track of it.
And we kept it open at 8 o'clock, and that was from July until October. What we found was very few people used it from 8 o'clock till 9, and we were looking at incurring overtime for reports that had to be run. Also, in the original, he talked about the town meeting in March of 1980, a little bit of a threat that at that town meeting, 3 employees lost their jobs. And that had to do with voting to slash the budget. At the end of the letter, it states, "Unfortunately, I'll not be able to attend this meeting. Instead, I may have to be content to save my public comments if necessary for the annual town meeting. Let's hope that meeting is not a repeat of 1980. So he did threaten in the letter on May 12th, and obviously he is making good on that threat. He's talked about coming in and asking for requests. He talked about being told no on one request, and that request was that the town treasurer go after a chart that he put together, review his math, and check it for accuracy. And the letter that I sent him was simple, that the freedom of access allowed him access to town documents. It did not allow him access to town staff to check his math. That was the letter that he came in and made sure the Board of Selectmen had a copy of it, and he went in and passed it out to the town staff as well. He came in, and Maureen and I sat down with him. We had a conversation with him to try to find out what his issue was. Didn't find that it was productive. We went round and round in circles. And I'm still not 100% sure. One of the requests that he sent, that he's saying is 10 to 15 minutes on, it has 9 requests. It's any and all documents pertaining to year-end status of budgeted accounts, any and all documents pertaining to the generation of $1,400 in overtime that the office was open to the public at 8 a.m., any and all documents pertaining to the end-of-year summary of activity as reported to the Department of Motor Vehicle, any and all documents pertaining to the year-end dollar total for the cost of overtime for town staff, any and all documents pertaining to job descriptions for the town clerk and town treasurer, any and all documents pertaining to wage and salary calculations for the 13-14 budget, any and all documents pertaining to the breakdown of expenses, including the total dollar amount requested in Article 2, General Administrative Expenses, for the 13 town meeting warrant, any and all documents pertaining to the breakdown of expenses, including total dollar amount requested in Article 3, Board of Selectmen expenses, for the 2013 town meeting warrant, any and all documents pertaining to the cost of providing uniforms to the town employees.
We meet our requirements under freedom of access.
Well, when Maureen and I sat down and we asked him if he wanted all documents, and because all documents would be quite expensive, he replied no.
Every person who is elected to public office is required by law to go to Freedom of Information training. And we just attended that training in Machias. The Maine Municipal Association was kind enough to come down to the University of Maine, Machias, and we went through a 2-hour session. When someone sends in a request, we do our very best to provide the information that they requested. However, we are not allowed under law to make up documents and make them part of public record. And this is basically what Dana has been asking in some cases. there's no reason that someone cannot ask for information, but when you do it continuously, constantly, it becomes a matter of harassment. And every once in a while, a person does this. And in this case, this has been going on for quite some time. It takes the people in the office a good amount of time to put this information together. It takes a lot of John's time. No one is trying to hide anything, but no one appreciates, and John did not appreciate some of the comments made in this person's paid ad, such as he's milking the taxpayers, that there's more milking going on up here than there is at Tide Mills Farm. Those kind of innuendos and nasty remarks are not appreciated.
Unprofessional.
It's very unprofessional, and almost every administration has a person. When I was administrator up here, I had my personal Dana, and I kept a folder which I asked John to pull out today, and you could see that it went on forever and ever and ever. I mean, God bless them. We don't mind providing information, but there becomes a point when it's just silly. And John feels very frustrated, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, the last letter we got was dated July 31st. Apparently, he's talking July 31st. He's coming in tomorrow to pick up some more stuff. He has concerns about the office being open and being inaccessible. However, he does state that I will be quite willing to come by the office around 9 o'clock Friday to pick up everything you have ready and pay for whatever expenses have incurred in your efforts. So, I mean, we're doing our best to make the office accessible to the public. If there are issues with somebody who, for some reason, needs to come in, you know, they can call, they can make an appointment. We'd be glad to help them any way we can. The other issue that, you know, they talked about is the town spending money frivolously. I talked to Randy Campbell, and in 2008-2009, the municipality requested from the taxpayers $1.27 million. In 2012-13, 5 years later, we requested 1.10. This year, 13-14, when we go to town meeting, we're going to be requesting 1.106. So
we've gone down.
we've gone down, and for him to
But
sit there,
his aspersions that he's
that
casting is that we're frivolously
we're
spending
wasting
more and
money,
more.
yeah.
How do we do that with getting less from the taxpayer? How does that work? That
And-
sounds like a political witch hunt.
exactly.
Isn't the cost of everything gone up?
You start looking at fuel.
Well, that's
you
because
start
we cut our budget 4 years in a row, but maybe he hasn't realized that.
Well, he was a town administrator 30 years ago.
30
I
years
believe.
ago.
I mean,
Lots changed.
a lot's changed. Prices have risen. Things have changed. I mean, every request we are required by law to give him an hour's worth of research free. So that's 10 hours is like free this year.
But it's the same request.
We have openings on a number of committees, one
Yeah.
being the budget committee. So
Yeah,
anybody
that's
who
very
would like
educational,
to,
yeah.
Right. And he's been invited to join
Look
these
at the
committees, and he
frivolous
says no.
Right, and yeah, Maureen and I, the day that we sat down with him, we told him if he's that unhappy joining the budget committee, and he informed us he's too busy. He's got all kinds of time to write letters,
I
but
would just like to see examples of the spending over the years. I mean, if it's there, I would like to be made aware of it so that way we can fix it.
Well, you don't know how we do it? There's that last article on the,
The one that allows us to bring 10% around.
yeah,
Yeah.
legally, which we have to have in there by state mandate.
My question is, was that article in there years
Yes, it
prior
was.
time? So even
Well-
when you
well,
were town administrator, you had that
it
privilege?
was not in the town warrant. We went back and we looked at his warrant. That article was not in there.
Oh,
just
well,
did
how
it.
did he move money around?
He just did
No,
it.
under that administration,
Really?
They just did it.
he obviously had to have approval for selectmen as well, so it's unfair to
Remember 30
all of
years
the
ago?
blame onto one individual.
Well, that's
There's a
it. It
board.
was 30 years ago. It was a long time
No, it's a little
ago.
bit easier, more streamlined, less people that had to make decisions.
You know, I mean, you can't take things that happened 30 years ago and put it into context with what's happening now. It just was done. It wasn't just him, his administration, it was the administrations prior to
Mhm.
his and after his. And then at some point, someone said, you know, we really need to follow the law and put this in the town chart, our town warrant. And it's been in there ever since, for the last 20 years that I know of. But when it was put in, I don't know off the top of my head. I mean, it happens, I don't care how well you budget, there's a point where you're going to have to move money from one to the other. The
How
school
expensive
does
is a
it,
meeting?
we do it. How expensive is a meeting?
Yeah, special town meeting.
It's pretty expensive.
$1,200, $1,300.
No, I'll go with like 28, 3 grand.
So if we were to overspend like our copier line item and need to have permission, we'd have to spend $3 to get permission to overspend. that.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is, you
that
know,
furnace is getting more expensive, isn't it?
Seems like a great theory to me.
when we go through and we put a budget together, you know, the margins that we use are really tight. We have no way of knowing, what the weather's gonna be, how much overtime's gonna be needed. So we calculate as
The
best we
furnace is
can.
gonna blow up.
Well, I
Right.
suppose,
Oh, you bought too much sand again.
I think the $3,000 a meeting is probably a better option. I mean, that seems to be a more, better way of use of the taxpayers' money.
Anyhow,
Could be
does
wrong.
anyone have anything else?
I'd like to make a motion to go to executive session to discuss the one MRSA 4056F, official confidential records, this upcoming lease with Down East Charter Boat Tours.
Second.
All in favor? Thank